Brothers, sisters, and others of all colors, welcome back to another YouTube video. This time, this time, this time, this time, this time, this time, we are going to be talking about our connection to nature. So, to really understand what this is, I like to think about this in terms of the law of identity. Basically, the idea is that something is always itself, but it will always carry the remnants of the things that it is underneath, right? So if you are in a category, you carry the traits of that category, but you are always the only thing that you can be, or the only thing that, hold on. The idea is that you are always, you are the only you, and that you are always you, and that's it, right? And you can carry traits from the categories that you are underneath, which is the main thing, right? But you will always be you. You can't remove something from itself. That's the law of identity. And this is important to understand because we exist under a series of categories. We exist under a series of different loops, of different circles. You know, like those graphs where you have like a circle and you have a circle inside of a circle, you have a circle inside of another circle, and there are things that describe, like, oh, uh, let's say your classes, your nature, your seven kingdoms, right? They all exist under the circle of living things. Seven kingdoms, seven circles, okay? And underneath those seven kingdoms, right, you'd be Animalia, fucking plant kingdom, fucking fungal kingdom, bacterial kingdom, etc. You have different creatures underneath each of those kingdoms, and underneath those you have like more. So there's this, the fact of the matter is, you're a pretty small dot. We're all pretty, humanity itself is a very small dot in that hierarchy of things. We exist inside of nature, inside of awareness, inside of consciousness, inside of the universe. We are not above or around or outside of the universe. We are inside of the universe. We are inside of living things, because you know what's outside of living things? Dead things. And you are a fucking living thing if you're watching this video right now. But we carry the traits of living things, of all living things. And it's important for us to recognize that we are made of nature. It flows through us. It's in everything. It's everything about us. So that we don't end up rejecting nature. So we don't end up rejecting the world simply due to the fact that we have the power to do so. Yes, we do have the power to reject the universe. We do have the power to act outside of our nature and to constrict ourselves in these strange ways. right? I'm thinking literally, the example that's going in my head right now is manners. The idea of like table manners. An animal, alright? You fucking. A wolf does not have manners, really. It's like, oh, hey, you want some? Have some, right? It's just trying to get the food down its mouth. It's not thinking about how rude it is to do this or how, you're not supposed to have your elbows on the table. And sure, there are practical reasons why, you may live one way or the other. But the truth is that those rules don't exist. They're constructed, they're arbitrary, they're not real. We made them up. It doesn't matter if it's practical or not. And that's okay, by the way. It's okay to make shit up. That's another thing. There's this idea that, like, making shit up is wrong. Making shit up is awesome. You know what I mean? Special relativity is made up, but it's awesome, right? The stars aren't thinking about special relativity in order to move. They just follow that particular pattern of movement. Or I don't actually know. I don't know what special relativity is exactly. I think it has to do with like speed relative to like, look, the point is, regardless of what the hell special relativity actually is, or gravity, you know what, fuck it, gravity's better. Planets aren't thinking about gravity. They're just moving in a certain way, and gravity is our way of describing that movement. Gravity is our way of assigning a pattern, an idea to that particular pattern of movement. The truth of that could be anything. We could find out evidence tomorrow that would change the theory of gravity forever. But would the planets stop moving the way that they do because the theory of gravity changes? Fucking hell no. No, they wouldn't. They would move the same exact way because they were always going to do that. So, yes, even the even the most solid, most well-proven, well-defined theories in science are still open to questioning and change, and that's the beauty of it. That's the good part about science, is that it's always willing to change. It's that it's always open-minded. But anyways, this isn't about science. This is about nature. So the whole point of bringing up nature. Oh yeah, I was talking about how it's not bad for things to be made up. It's not bad for things to be man-made. Just because something is man-made doesn't mean it's terrible. Just because something's not natural doesn't mean it's terrible. Not natural things are awesome. This phone is awesome. But we don't have to say that phones are awesome and man-made things are awesome and manners are awesome in order to say that the natural way that we exist is awesome too. That burping and farting is awesome too. Even though it's unpleasant for the other people around us. What I'm trying to say is that I think that a lot of the negative emotions that exist in society are fundamentally a rejection of nature. A lot of the shame that we experience about things like sexuality is a part of nature. Sex is a part of nature, alright? It's what things do. It's the only reason why it's so bizarre and unheard of or outlandish or outrageous is simply due to the fact that we made up rules. We said, okay, well, this is disruptive. This is distracting. This is not good to be seen. Right? And that's made up. Not bad, but it's made up. It's something we have collectively decided upon. But we can't just say that we didn't make it up. And we can't just say that it wasn't decided upon. We can't just say it wasn't a decision, it's just reality. Because that's fucking bullshit. That's fucking cap. Which I should probably release another video about, you know, natural laws versus human laws. Which is another concept that I worked with for a while. The idea is that there are things that we make up, and there are things that are literally just the laws of existence. If I make a budget, that's something I made up, but it will get me the money. It will make sure that I have the money that I need. Right? If I just spend my money until I have none left, I can't spend money anymore. In one situation with a budget, I can't spend money because I said I didn't want to spend money. That's a human law. In the natural law example, the literal fact of not having money prevents me from spending. So human-made laws are usually designed to cope with natural consequences, or to make natural consequences less of a factor when it comes to existing. But anyways, very interesting, all worth a video on its own. So, back to nature and shit. There are things we made up in society that we think are real, that we think are natural laws, but are really just human laws. There are things that we think are real, but are really just made up for other purposes. And then we cite the reasons themselves for them not being made up. But motherfucker, it's still made up. It doesn't matter if it had a reason to happen. It doesn't matter if it was for this or for that. It's made up. It can be for something else if you want. My budget could be to defend against evil forces attempting to consume my mind. I do know that I've decided at one point to start a budget because I can be a reckless spender, and I can spend way fucking more money than, you know, I can spend way too much money at once on like impulse purchases, and that it's way too hard for me to just like go to grocery stores like once or twice a week, because like I'll just, or not grocery stores once or twice a week, but you know, go to the grocery store like once every day or two, because I'll go there and then I'll be like, oh yeah, well I kind of want to go to this other grocery store too, and I'll go to the other grocery store and I'll look around and I'll be like, oh that's cool, I want to buy it. Oh that's cool, I want to buy it. Like I'm looking for cool shit, and then it's like I look for cool shit and I get cool shit, and then boom, I'm out of money suddenly. But anyways, so I made that shit up, and I made it up for this reason too. Just because something has a reason doesn't mean it isn't made up. Just because, and it could be a good reason, you might respect that reason, but you don't always have to respect that reason, okay? But anyways, it's important to respect nature, and it's important to respect the way that we have been constructed, okay? I keep thinking about fucking bullshit ass pointy shoes. I hate them. I have a vendetta and it is against pointy ass shoes because I look down at my feet and I realize my fucking pinky toe is like clawing into the earth in an unnatural way when I'm trying to stick all of my toes out. Why? It's because I've been forced to wear those horrid shoes for my whole life. Because we have to reject nature because rich people are fucking also arrogant, right? And that's another thing. This comes back to pride. There are two ways to respond to separating yourself from nature. One is guilt, the other is pride. Pride is like when rich people were like, yo, shoes, boys, pointy shoes, because fuck being poor and needing to walk, right? And you can go further down that road, or you can go down the road of guilt, which is like, well, I don't want to be a bad person, so I'm not like nature, and I don't want to fuck up like them, so I'm going to do things differently. Why not, instead of doing things differently because nature is wrong, just do things differently because you're right? Nature doesn't have to be wrong for you to be right. Just be right. And I think specifically back to veganism, alright? Now, I like veganism. I think it's kind of cool. But I think that there is trauma associated with it, alright? I think it's a good thing that comes from the wrong place. In some cases. In some cases. Sometimes you can be a vegan for a good reason. Alright? From what I would say is a good reason, okay? From a place of like, hey, I respect I respect nature and natural laws, but I'm making this human law because this is the way I want to live my life. Because I don't want to think that it's okay to kill. I think that's a good I think that's a good thing. But it can be a bad thing if you're like, well, I don't want to kill animals because, you know, that means I'm a bad person. Right? Like you have something to make up for. You don't have anything to make up for. Motherfucker, you're here. And if any force in the universe wanted anything less than that, your ass would be dead, folded up like origami, okay? So trust that you're here and that your existence is valued by the divine for whatever reason. But being human doesn't make you above nature or below nature. Well, it does make you below nature in some sense, but not like hierarchically or anything, but only because you are also natural. Only because you are also living. You are not just human, but you are alive. You are not just human, but you are natural. You are not just human, but you are conscious. Well, nature is conscious. But that is a whole other story. Like, nature itself is alive and conscious. It's strange that we associate humanness with acceptability and like selfhood, but we also associate nature with like not being human. But human is nature. To be human is to be natural in a similar sense. To be human is also to be alive. So yeah, have some respect for the birds and the bees. Well, not just the birds and the bees, but basically everything else, right? The mountains and the trees, the birds and the bees, the mountains and the trees, alright? And not just the nature outside of yourself, have some respect for the nature inside of yourself too. Fucking, you know, feed yourself good food. But also, try to be healthy too. That one comes back to me, which is why I was kind of scared to say it. Because I was like, oh, I don't know if I could live up to that. You know, it's scary. Some of the things they say are scary to say. Because the idea of, like, living like that is like. The idea of living like that is challenging. Of living in such a way. Yeah, the perspective suggests that I'm looking down on you, which is kind of fucked up. But yeah, I don't want it to be like that. Like, it feels like I'm looking at my screen right now, and like, it's like I'm a giant, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, what's up, guys? You know what I mean? It's not like that. Maybe I need something more head on, but I haven't found a good way to set up my camera. Anyways, the fact of the matter is, man made is not bad, nature is good, and that does there isn't like a one or the other thing. Alright? And that's all I had to say. Well, that's not all I had to say. Nature is good. Nature is very good. Maybe there's something to say about like expanding our definition of nature. But anyways, yeah, like the way our physiology is, there are some things that there are something okay, the cable management might not be perfect, but 99% of everything else functions pretty fucking well. And it's important to trust that. That maybe there was a way that things worked before that maybe we aren't working with. Not that nature is wrong or that we are right, or that nature is right and we are wrong. It's that we have to understand how to cooperate with nature, how to bring man-made with nature and to cooperate with it in a way that's elegant. Because nature, because nature is human just as much as humans are nature. But we are the human side of nature. And we gotta show nature that the human side of nature is good. And that is what I'll leave you with today.